As we grow older, relationships inevitably change. But what happens when, after decades of being deeply in love, a woman starts to feel distant from her husband? It's a painful reality many couples face but few talk about. Love doesn't just disappear overnight. It fades slowly, often as a result of small shifts that go unnoticed over time. These shifts can stem from a range of factors that quietly erode the emotional connection, leading to frustration, disconnection, and ultimately distance. In this video, we'll explore 8 key factors that contribute to this growing distance in long-term relationships. First, emotional labor can take a toll on one person, especially when one partner shoulders most of the emotional responsibilities. Then, when meaningful communication starts to fade, the connection that once felt natural begins to feel forced and distant. Along with this, the never-ending burden of housework often falls on one person, creating frustration and resentment over time. But the distance doesn't just come from external responsibilities, it can also come from internal growth. When one partner evolves and seeks new experiences, but the other stays stagnant, the emotional gap between them only widens. As intimacy fades, both physical and emotional, the relationship can start to feel like a shell of what it once was. This is further complicated when retirement changes the dynamic of the relationship, and when one partner starts to feel overwhelmed by the constant need for attention and support. The sense of being unheard or unappreciated also plays a crucial role in the distance that grows between partners. And finally, as time passes, we all start to realize that life is short, and that realization can make us question whether we are truly happy in our relationships. Stick with us because by the end of this video, we'll discuss how you can take action to rebuild and nurture the love in your relationship, no matter the challenges. 1. Emotional overload. As we age, life's responsibilities can weigh heavily on us, especially in our relationships. For many women, this burden often manifests as emotional labor, the invisible work of managing emotions, organizing family events, remembering birthdays, and handling the day-to-day needs of the household. Over time, this constant emotional burden takes its toll. The question is, why do we allow this to happen? How did we let ourselves carry so much while our partner seemed unaware of the load we bear? In Stoic philosophy, we are taught that control lies within us. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our response. Yet, when it comes to emotional labor in relationships, many women reach a breaking point. They feel as if they're carrying the weight of the marriage, while their husbands remain passive, unaware, or even indifferent. This can lead to deep frustration and, over time, emotional withdrawal. The Stoic principle of Amor Fati, or love of fate, encourages us to accept life as it comes and to find strength in what is beyond our control. However, the challenge lies in balancing acceptance with action. It's not about enduring silently, it's about understanding the role we play in maintaining the health of our relationships. In a marriage, both partners need to be aware of the emotional workload, to share the responsibilities, and to create a mutual understanding that goes beyond routine chores and unspoken expectations. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remember, it's okay to express your needs. Communicate openly with your partner. As Stoics, we understand that virtue comes from living with integrity, but it also comes from protecting our well-being. You deserve to feel seen, valued, and heard. Don't carry the weight alone. Life is too short to ignore the little things that matter most. Choose to speak up, choose to find balance, and choose peace in your relationships. 2. Lack of meaningful communication. As we grow older, many of us find that the conversations we once had with our spouses become less frequent, less meaningful, and less emotionally fulfilling. In the early years of marriage, communication is often filled with curiosity and connection. You ask about each other's day, share your dreams, and talk about the future. But over time, the dialogue becomes routine, predictable, and sometimes non-existent. The absence of meaningful communication can create a distance that is hard to bridge. From a Stoic perspective, we are taught the importance of self-awareness and understanding our emotional needs. Eudaimonia, the Stoic concept of flourishing, isn't just about external achievements. It's about nurturing the internal peace and connection that sustains us in relationships. When we neglect meaningful communication, we rob ourselves and our loved ones of that connection. We let the relationship stagnate, leaving both partners feeling unseen and unheard. But here's the truth, communication is a choice. It's easy to let conversations fade into the background as life gets busier, but the Stoic idea of mindfulness reminds us to be present in each moment. We must actively choose to listen, to engage, and to invest in meaningful exchanges with our partners. It's not about grand gestures or fixing everything at once. It's about consistently showing up for each other through the small, everyday moments. If you feel the gap growing in your marriage, take a moment to pause and reflect. Have you truly listened to your spouse today? Have you taken the time to connect, to understand their thoughts and feelings? In a world that moves fast, let's not forget the power of a simple conversation. It might be the one thing that brings you back together. 3. The never-ending burden of housework. In many long-term marriages, one of the most constant sources of frustration for women is the never-ending burden of housework. From washing dishes to folding laundry, from vacuuming the floors to managing the upkeep of the home, the list never seems to end. This daily grind is something that many women bear alone, often without recognition or help. Over time, these small, seemingly insignificant tasks accumulate, and what started as an annoyance can turn into deep resentment. From a Stoic perspective, we understand the importance of acceptance. But we also know that acceptance doesn't mean passivity. In Stoicism, the concept of virtue teaches us to approach life with wisdom, courage, and justice. When it comes to household responsibilities, it's not about accepting everything in silence. It's about finding balance and taking responsibility for what is within our control. If the burden feels too heavy, it's time to take action. No one should bear the weight of a marriage alone. If you find yourself carrying all the household duties, it's essential to communicate with your partner and share the load. The Stoic practice of self-reflection encourages us to look inward and ask, am I being fair to myself? Am I taking care of my well-being? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. It's important to recognize that relationships thrive on mutual respect, and part of that respect is acknowledging the effort that each partner puts in. Remember, life is too short to feel burdened by tasks that can be shared. Take a moment to assess your situation. Are you carrying too much weight? And if so, what can you do today to lighten your load? The path to peace and contentment in a marriage doesn't lie in bearing the burden silently, it lies in communication, fairness, and mutual care. For women growing but husbands not changing. As time passes, many women experience a natural desire for personal growth. They want to explore new passions, travel, learn, and engage with the world in deeper ways. But what happens when their partners, particularly their husbands, remain stagnant? This gap between growth and stagnation can create emotional distance in a marriage, and over time, it can lead to feelings of frustration and disappointment. The woman begins to feel as if she's outgrowing the relationship, while her husband remains unchanged, holding her back from the life she envisions for herself. From a Stoic perspective, we are reminded of the importance of self-improvement and the pursuit of wisdom. Stoicism teaches us that the path to inner peace and contentment comes through continuous growth and the courage to face life's challenges head-on. In relationships, both partners should strive to evolve together, supporting each other's personal journeys. When one person grows while the other stays the same, it can feel like a disconnect, and that can lead to emotional withdrawal. If you find yourself in this situation, it's essential to reflect on the Stoic principle of Amor Fati, embracing what is. It's okay to recognize that change is hard, and not all relationships grow at the same pace. However, if you're constantly evolving and your partner is unwilling to engage with you in that growth, you need to ask yourself, is this the life I want? You deserve a partnership where both of you continue to grow, support each other, and evolve together. Remember, life is about progress, and relationships should be a space for mutual growth. It's not about expecting your partner to change overnight, but about nurturing an environment where both of you feel inspired to evolve together. 5. Loss of intimacy and emotional connection. Over the years, many couples find that the intimacy they once shared begins to fade. This isn't just about physical closeness, it's about the emotional connection that holds a relationship together. For many women, the loss of that emotional intimacy can feel like the slow disappearance of love itself. The desire to feel seen, understood, and cherished fades as both partners grow more distant. And while this might not happen overnight, it creates a deep sense of loneliness and frustration over time. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded of the importance of presence and mindfulness, the act of being fully engaged with the moment and with the people around us. When emotional intimacy starts to erode in a relationship, it often happens because one or both partners stop being present. Life becomes routine, distractions take over, and suddenly the connection that once felt so natural slips away. But as Stoics, we understand that our emotions and experiences are within our control. We can choose to engage, to communicate, and to reconnect. If you're feeling this distance, it's essential to reflect on what eudaimonia or flourishing truly means in your relationship. It's not about grand gestures but about daily acts of kindness, attention, and vulnerability. Reach out to your partner not just physically but emotionally. Share your thoughts, your concerns, and your dreams. Stoics believe in the power of reflection and action, and when emotional intimacy fades, it's up to both partners to take intentional steps to rebuild that connection. Remember, intimacy is not a passive experience. It's something we nurture through small, consistent efforts. If you feel disconnected, it's not too late to rediscover the emotional closeness that once brought you together. Love, like all things, requires care, and that care can reignite the spark that has been dimming over the years. 6. Challenges in retirement. Retirement is often imagined as the golden chapter of life, a time to relax, travel, and enjoy the fruits of decades of hard work. But for many couples, retirement can bring unexpected challenges that shake the foundation of their relationship. Suddenly, both partners are at home all the time, spending more time together than ever before. For some men, retirement can feel like a loss of purpose. They go from a structured workday to a life without clear direction, and often they look to their wives to fill that void. This shift can place an emotional burden on women who may have spent years managing the home and family, now finding themselves responsible for their husband's happiness and sense of direction. From a Stoic perspective, we are taught to embrace Amor Fati, the love of fate. Life is always in motion, and while we cannot control the circumstances that come with retirement, we can control our response. For women, this may mean setting clear boundaries, taking time for personal interests, and communicating openly about needs and expectations. For men, it's about finding new purpose, new ways to contribute, and not relying entirely on their spouse to fill the emotional void. Retirement should be a time of freedom, not suffocation. But if one partner feels overwhelmed by the shift in dynamics, it can lead to feelings of resentment. The key to navigating this transition is mutual understanding and shared responsibility. It's about both partners respecting each other's space, engaging in new activities together, and continuing to grow individually, even as you grow together. The Stoic principle of self-reflection teaches us that when we face challenges, it's essential to understand how we can adapt, communicate, and find balance. It's never too late to create a new chapter in your relationship, one built on understanding, mutual respect, and a shared journey forward. 7. Feeling unheard and unappreciated. One of the most painful experiences in any long-term relationship is the feeling of being unheard, unseen, and unappreciated. For many women, this happens after years of being the emotional backbone of the family, carrying the weight of both household responsibilities and the emotional needs of their partner. Over time, when they try to express their feelings or share their concerns, they find their words falling on deaf ears. The silence that follows can be even more painful than a harsh argument because it signifies that their thoughts, emotions, and presence no longer matter. In Stoic philosophy, we are reminded that our reactions are within our control. While we cannot always control the actions of others, we can control how we choose to respond. However, when a partner stops listening or fails to show appreciation, it can be difficult to remain calm and composed. Yet, Stoicism teaches us to reflect and act with virtue, not simply react out of frustration. If you feel unheard, the Stoic approach is to first focus on understanding yourself. Why do you feel this way? Are you expressing your needs clearly, or are you expecting your partner to read your mind? It's important to remember that love and respect must be actively nurtured. Communication, however simple, is vital in any relationship. The Stoic practice of self-reflection encourages us to not only seek to be heard but also to be intentional about listening. It's essential to engage with your partner's needs, just as you would want them to engage with yours. If you feel ignored, take a moment to communicate with intention, not out of anger but out of a desire to reconnect. At the end of the day, love is a choice. It's about choosing to show up, to listen, and to appreciate each other, even when life feels overwhelming. If you feel unseen, remember, your voice matters. Speak up and choose to nurture the connection you deserve. 8. Realization of the shortness of life. As we age, we start to realize that time is not as abundant as it once seemed. We lose friends, we attend more funerals, and we begin to truly understand how fleeting life is. For many women, this realization can bring about a shift in how they view their relationships. They start asking themselves difficult questions. Am I truly happy? Do I feel loved? Is this the life I want to continue living? These aren't easy questions to face, but they are essential for finding deeper meaning and fulfillment in life. In Stoic philosophy, we are constantly reminded of the impermanence of life. Memento Mori, or the practice of remembering death, encourages us to live fully in the present and to not waste time on what no longer serves us. Life is short, and while we cannot control when it ends, we can control how we live in the meantime. If we're spending our days in relationships that don't bring us joy or fulfillment, it's important to reflect on why that is. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we cannot. If our relationships are not bringing us the emotional connection we crave, we have the power to change that, or to choose a different path. The key here is not to live in regret but to embrace the opportunity for change. If you feel disconnected or unfulfilled, it's never too late to make a change. Whether it's having an honest conversation with your partner or reevaluating what you want out of life, you deserve to live with intention and purpose. Remember, life is short, but it's yours to shape. Don't waste another moment in a relationship that drains you. Choose the path that leads to fulfillment, peace, and love. Love doesn't fade with age, it fades when we stop nurturing it. The neglect, the lack of care, and the indifference all contribute to love gradually diminishing. But the good news is it's never too late to rekindle that connection. Relationships require attention, understanding, and intentional effort to thrive over time. So, if you're feeling distant or disconnected, take a moment to reflect and make the choice to nurture the love you have. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more insights. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How are you nurturing love in your relationship? Let's continue this conversation because love is something worth fighting for. Thank you for watching and take care of each other.